So very good morning to all of you. Is my AV is okay? Very good morning to all of you. Is my AV is okay? Okay, thank you Shanti Prasad and Abhishek. Is there any program today? Because less participants are there. It is already 11:37. Only 22 students have logged in. So we'll wait for another 2-3 minutes. Because today's strength is only 23. We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes, then we'll start. Till now, today there is no information about your internal test. So we are waiting for VTO circular. I think disturbance is there, I think. Sorry people. From my end. Okay, let us start today's session. Let us continue the class. So is it clear? I think audio, everything. Hope my voice is dominating the background disturbance. Hope so. Fine. So yesterday's class, till this point I explained it, isn't it? So the transmission loss formula, we are studying about the transmission loss formula. So we are trying to derive an accurate formula for this transmission loss formula. So till this equation 6, so we have developed yesterday. I have explained it how we got this one, PL, isn't it? So this is your equation 6. So just to recall you, I am going to show you the slide, previous slide. So from this analysis, substituting this one in transmission loss, this is IP square. So now Ig1, Ig2 we have done, substituting 3 into, that means this Ig1, Ig2 in this equation 2. So we got this equation. Then this is IP square. Then we have a losses. Transmission loss is equal to I square R because it is three-phase system multiplied with 3. And it is the total transmission loss is the sum of all the individual line losses. So that's why this summation. So this IP square, whatever we are getting it from equation 4, substitute it here. Substituting 4 in 5, the red one. So this is what we got. Then what we have done, this summation is holds good for the entire term. This summation is not only for this single term, because if you look into this one, so it appears to be like that, isn't it? So this summation is the whole thing. So the summation of 3 of this thing, then summation of 3 of this thing, then summation of 3 of this term, and each term is in turn multiplied with your RP. So after doing some simplifications, so we got this equation. So till this point, I've explained it, isn't it? Till this point, I've explained it. Now let us compare this one with the equation which we have derived it. Now you see this one. This is the thing you got it. Do you remember this equation for two plant system? So this is the equation we have studied, isn't it? So the transmission loss is represented in index form and in matrix form. Okay, in matrix form, it is represented as, this is the example I have shown it, isn't it? So what is the example I have shown it? PL is equal to PG transpose into B into P. PG transpose into B into PG. This is a transmission loss in matrix form. We analyzed in the previous case, considering that one in index form, PL in index form, isn't it? So in the matrix form, just I have explained it till this point in the earlier sessions. So what is B, M, B is B, because considering only there are two plants, M and N is equal to 2. So B will be of 2 cross 2. If it is 3 plants, B is a square matrix of order 3 cross 3. Then this will be Pg1, Pg2, Pg3. Here also Pg1, Pg2, Pg3 you will get if it is 3 plants. If it is 2 plants, then it is B1. Then what happens? Pg1, Pg2, 2 cross 2 B matrix, then Pg1, Pg2. So when you multiply this one, so you are going to get this equation. Understood? Just I have represented here again this one, the transmission loss in matrix form for your purpose. Understood? Otherwise, I would have directly taken this equation. Now from this one, so when you multiply these three matrices, so you are going to get this equation, isn't it? So this is equation 7. Okay. Now comparing equation 6 and 7. Now you see, you have to compare equation 6 and 7. So when you compare 6 and 7, what you are going to get, you see there are three terms are there, 1, 2, 3. So Pg1 square. So you see Pg1 square term is there. Pg2 square. So Pg2 square term is there. Then the product of Pg1 and Pg2. The product of Pg1 and Pg2 is there. So comparing equation and 6 and 7, so what is B11 is equal to, what is B11 is equal to here? So here B11 is equal to, so you can see here, okay. So what is comparing equation 6 and 1? So this B11, this B11, so this B11, comparing equation 6 and 7, you see here, it is Pg1 square. So what is the coefficient of Pg1 square? So this is the entire thing we have to consider. You see, this is the term, isn't it? So therefore, Pg1 square is there. So the coefficient of Pg1 square is B11. So B11 is equal to this equation. Understood? So That is the thing we are going to write it. So comparing 6 and 7, now you see what you are going to get. So it is 1 over V1 square cos pi 1 square summation of MP1 square RP. Clear? P11 is equal to this one. Similarly, what is B12? That is, what is B12 is equal to here? That we have to consider it. From this one, you can see here, what is the term? This is your B22. Okay, first let us take B22. B22 is equal to, later we will take the other one. So B22 here, this B22, Pg2 square. Where is Pg2 square? Here is our Pg2 square. Understood? So what is the coefficient of this one? Coefficient of Pg2 square here will be this term. Understood? So that is 1 over V2 square into cos pi 2, 1 over V2 square into cos pi 2, summation of MP2 square RP. Hope you understood this one. Clear? So B11, B22, you got it. Comparing 6 and 7. Then again, we want to get the other one, B12. So what is B12 here? Isn't it? Here B12 is equal to, let us take the other one. So B12. B12 is equal to, in this equation, 2 times Pg1, Pg2 is there, isn't it? So this 2 times Pg1, Pg2, 2 times Pg1, Pg2, isn't it? It is there, 2 times Pg1, Pg2. Then removing that one, the other terms, the other terms. This is the terms. Is it clear? So this is 2 Pg1, Pg2. So 2 times Pg1, Pg2. So that is nothing but your B12, the left of coefficients. So B12 is equal to, you see, cos sigma 1, cos of sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by V1, V2 cos 1, phi 1 cos phi 2, summation of MP1, MP2, RP. This is the expression you should get it. Understood? Derive the, so these B11, B22, B12 are called as B coefficients, are called as B coefficients or loss coefficients, where B12 is equal to B21. Here we have specified here. B12 is equal to B21. Is it clear? So this is how we are going to get the loss coefficients. However, in general, suppose if it is not the index system, if it this is for 2 plants we have taken it. If it is for M plants or N plants, so here you see the area consisting of M and N, then how it should be, isn't it? So for that one, let us see that one here. Before that one, let us clear the markings. Okay. Okay, the terms are called loss coefficients or B coefficients. Now, if voltages are line to line kV with resistances in ohms, the units of B coefficients are in megawatt inverse. You see, please remember the unit of B coefficients, either it may be in per unit or it may be in megawatt inverse. Understood? Reciprocal of your megawatt. When the unit will be megawatt inverse, that is if the voltages are line to line voltage represented in kV and the resistance are in ohms. That means in actual values, actual units. If the voltage and resistances are in actual units, that is kV and ohms, then this loss coefficient unit will be megawatt inverse. Otherwise, you are going to get these loss coefficients or B coefficients in terms of per unit. How we are going to get per unit? Dividing this megawatt inverse value, whatever you are getting, by the MVA value, by base MVA. This is what you have studied in PSA 1, isn't it? So any value, actual values, if you want to get it, the per unit value, divide that one with your base MVA value. Then you are going to get the value of B in per unit. Either B may be represented in per unit or megawatt inverse. Understood? But you should see when it is megawatt inverse, if it is the actual values of voltage and resistance are represented in kV and ohms respectively. Fine. Now Pg1 and Pg, obviously it is expressed in megawatt. PL also will be in megawatt. PL is what? Transmission loss, isn't it? PL is your transmission loss. Pg1, Pg2 is a generation at plant 1 and plant 2. So obviously generation will be represented in megawatt or gigawatt or kilowatts depending on the plant capacity, isn't it? So it is expressed in megawatt. Obviously losses also will be represented in terms of megawatt. So the above results can be extended to the general case of K plants. If you are having K number of plants with a transmission loss expressed as, you see here, this already I given this equation. That means the transmission loss can be represented in index form. So this is how the transmission loss can be extended or represented in index form. Understood? This already we have studied it in brief. Then this transmission loss PL also can be represented in matrix form. Last slide I have explained how it is represented in matrix form, in index form. So where M is varied from 1 to K, N is varied from 1 to K. PGM, BMN, PGN. So this explanation I given it. So where BMN, that this is known as your loss coefficient. This is known as loss coefficient. So loss coefficient is equal to cos of sigma 1 minus sigma 2 we are represented. So here sigma m minus sigma n, Vm into Vn, cos pi m into same formula what we got it here. That means these formulas are there, no? So the same formula B12 is, this is m, this is n. M is equal to 1, n is equal to 2 in this case because we have considered two plants. Otherwise, it is 1 to Bmn. So generally it is represented as like this. Understood? So call that as equation 7. So till this point you can write it. So this is the formula for index form. If it is represented in index, you can compare it with this one with the loss coefficients, which is developed by Kron, K-R-O-N, Kron. So hope you don't have any idea about this. Sorry, you don't have any doubts till this point. Any doubts till this point? So this is how a Kron has derived the loss formula, transmission loss formula, B11, B22, B12. Any doubts till this point? Okay. Hope you people don't have any doubts, assuming that. So based on this one, if you have understood, then you should, I am expecting the answers from your side. Understood? I am expecting the answers from your end for this numerical example. This is also has been given in the assignment 2. Assignment 2 problem, it has been given it there. Calculate the loss coefficients in per unit and megawatt inverse. You see here, you have to find out the loss coefficients, that is B coefficients in per unit as well as megawatt inverse on a base of 50 MVA, on a base of 50 MVA for the network shown in figure. This is the figure which has been shown, single line diagram, and the corresponding data has been given it here. Understood? So this is the numerical example. Now we have to get the values of B. So how to get the values of B? Let us see here. First, try to understand the diagram which has been given. So how many plants are there in this diagram? Two plants, G1, G2. Understood? G1, G2. Now when we started deriving the loss formula, what is the example, how we have taken the pictorial representation starting point? We have taken two plants delivering load current to a arbitrary number of loads, isn't it? This is the how we started. Two plants, G1, G2, supplying the load current to arbitrary number of loads through a transmission network. So in the transmission network, that box I have represented, consider a one line or one branch The corresponding current that is flowing through this one is, so let me go back and give some brief idea about that one, because that is required here. Now you see here, this is the diagram I have given it, isn't it? Two plants supplying an arbitrary number of loads through a transmission network. In this transmission network, we have considered one line or one branch, one line or several branches or lines will be there in this transmission network. So we have taken only one branch, that is P branch. The current flowing through that branch is IP, we have taken it. So we have studied three cases, 1, 2, 3. First, only plant 1 is supplying. So therefore, this is the load current, total load current ID. So when plant 1 alone is operating, so the total load current is supplied by plant 1 alone. So therefore, this current supplied by plant 1 is nothing but your total load current ID, isn't it? This is what we have studied. Then case 2 we have studied when plant 2 alone, when plant 2 alone, you see here, when plant 2 is supplying current and plant 1 is not supplying any current, so therefore the current supplied by the plant 2 is nothing but your total load current. That means only independent sources are acting it here. When both the sources acting, then this total load current ID is supplied from both the plants I1 and so both the plant P1 and P2. That is the third case we have studied, isn't it? So this is the third case. So what is the current supplied by plant 1 is Ig1, plant 2 is Ig2. So therefore total load current is equal to Ig1 plus Ig2. These are the three cases we have studied, isn't it? So these three case concepts we have to apply to our numerical problem. So in our numerical problem, which I have shown, so here there are two plants and there are arbitrary number of plants. And how many lines we have considered in this example? Only one line we have considered, that is indicated by P. That line is indicated by P. So for P, we have got the current distribution factors in this form. Current distribution factors is equal to MP1 is equal to corresponding current in that branch divided by total load current. Remember this ratio. Remember these ratios. So which is required over there. So three cases we have studied. So keeping this one in mind, let us go to that numerical problem. Okay. Now you see. This is a numerical problem I had. So first you decide, whenever a single line diagram has been given, you decide how many plants are there. So here how many plants or generators are there? G1, G2. There are two plants. Supplying arbitrary number of loads was our example. Arbitrary number of loads. But here in this case, how many loads are there? Load 1, load 2. That's all. There are no loads specified here. They represented load 1, load 2. So therefore, in this example, there are two plants or two generating stations and two loads. Understood? And these two generators will be supplying a current of that is to these two loads via a transmission network you have studied. So here transmission network will consisting of several lines. Out of several lines, we have considered one line or one branch as P branch. The corresponding current in that P branch, we have taken it as IP. Understood? So when generator 1 is supplying, we have taken it as IP1. When generator 2 alone is supplying, we have taken it as IP2, suffix 2. Suffix 2 indicates generator 2 alone is supplying the load current. Suffix 1 indicates that generator 1 alone is supplying the load current. Hope you understood this one. So that means what? We identified number of plants 2, number of loads 2. Then what else we have to identify from this one? Transmission network, isn't it? So in this example, how many transmission lines are there? In this network, how many transmission lines are there? Can anyone tell? In this example, how many transmission lines are there? Yes, can anyone tell? How many transmission lines are there? Are you listening to me? How many transmission lines are there in this network? So there are two plants. Okay, Saksham has given some answer. Others? So the problem, I will be writing it here. So this is your transmission network, and here we are having the plant 1, that is G1. Okay, and we are having plant 2, G2, G2, and we are having two loads. This is first load, this is second load. This is 1, this is second load. Second load. This is our transmission network. So we want to find out how many transmission lines are there in this network. That means this is the network. How many transmission lines are there? So from this one, I am representing the diagram like this: G1, G2, two plants and two loads, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are there. And here, this transmission network, I have to represent how many lines are there. Can you identify? Yeah, you are in final year, please. I am expecting the answer. Already the Saksham has given the answer. Let me check the others. How many transmission, given a single line diagram, if you are not in a position to identify number of transmission lines, so please tell me how many transmission lines are there here. Shanti Prasad, Abhishek, Sushumna, Sumant, Tushar, Shashank, Sai Verma, Bindushri. Can anyone tell how many transmission lines? Okay, people are not there, I think. Abhishek Sharma has given the answer. So just a simple question here. A single line diagram has been given. Now I am asking you to how many lines are there? How many transmission lines are there? It has been indicated also there in the diagram. You see here, this is one transmission line. So transmission lines will be between the two buses. Transmission lines will be connected between two buses. So how many buses are there? This is one bus, this is second bus, and this is one more bus is there. This is another bus, and this is another bus, this is another bus. So the lines connected between any two buses is called as a segment connected between any two buses is your line or a branch. So this is first transmission line A. Then between these two buses, this is the second transmission line B. Then between this bus and this bus, C. Third, 3. Then this is one bus, this is one bus. There is a line connected, D. Then this is one bus, again this is another bus. A line is connected here. So this is E. So therefore, so how many lines are there? A, B, C, D, E. Total 5 lines are there, not 4. Total transmission lines are 5. That is 5 branches are there. So therefore, here I am going to write 5 are there. 5 branches are there. Okay. So these 5 branches are designated as A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D. You see here, A, B, C, D, E. These 5 branches or lines are represented as A, B, C, D, E. So therefore, what is the current that is flowing through the branch A? What is the current flowing through the branch A? It is IA. Understood? So therefore it is IA. It is also given in the figure. Sometimes they will not give. Still I am explaining it. What is the current that is flowing through the branch B is IB. What is the current flowing through the branch C is IC. Similarly, E it is IE, D it is ID. Understood? So what are the branch currents here? From our example to this numerical problem, example we have taken IP. IP is the current flowing through the pth branch. So here IP is nothing but IP means line currents IA, IB, IC, ID and IE. Understood? So when only generator 1 alone is supplying the current, only generator 1 is supplying the load current to 1 and 2, generator 2 is not supplying, it is 0. Okay, then what are the parameters of line currents here we are going to represent? IA1, IB1, IC1, ID1, IE1, isn't it? So this is what you are going to represent it. Similarly, what are the current distribution factors? Current distribution factors when generator 1 alone is supplying a load current is MA1 for A line. For A line, MA1, MB1, MD1, ME1, MC1. Clear? These are the current distribution factors. Okay. Second case, when generator 2 alone is supplying the load current, generator G1 is not supplying anything. Generator G1 is not supplying anything. So in such cases, G2, that means what are the current distribution factors for the lines? Each line, current distribution factor MP1. Now here only generator G2 alone is supplying. G1 is not supplying the load current. So here it becomes MA2, MB2, MC2, ME2, MD2. No, it is a simple problem, but you have to understand the notation before proceeding to solve this example. What are these notations? We will be getting these notations here. So once you understand these notations, so you have to find out. So you have to find out the number of generators, number of loads, number of lines. First step. Next step, you have to find out the line currents, corresponding line currents like IA, IB, IC, ID, IE. Next, what are the current distribution factors for 3 cases? So 3 cases means one generator 1 alone is supplying. It is MA1, MA1 for branch A. For branch B, it is MB1 because generator 1 alone is supplying. For branch C, it is MC1. For E, it is ME1. For D, it is MD1. Current distribution factor. Then what are the current distribution factors of each line when generator G2 alone is supplying the load current? G2 alone, G1 is not supplying. Then for branch A, when G2 is supplying the load current, so it is MA2. For branch B, MB2, because generator 2 is supplying. MC2, ME2, MD2. So this is the thing, first thing you should identify. So this pictorial representation, how I represented the single line diagram with this one, you have to draw, then you have to analyze it. Then you identify the different parameters, current distribution factor, line currents, etc. Hope you understood this point, isn't it? So with this knowledge, let us continue to solve the numerical example. So before taking the case 1, when generator 1 alone is supplying the load current, generator G2 alone is supplying the load current. So first let us find out what is the total load current. What is the total load current? This 1 means this load 1. This 2 means this is load 2. Understood? So what is the current at load 1? What is the current to the load 2? So what is the current to the load 1 is your ID, isn't it? That is the ID, small ID. What is the load current to load 2 is your IE. Understood? So what is the total load current? ID plus IE. ID plus IE. This is your total load current ID, capital D. So this is what I am writing it here. Now you can see here, total load current is equal to, as per our notations, it is denoted by ID, total load current. So total load current is equal to, for load 1, what is the load current? It is ID. What is for load 2? It is IE. Isn't it? This is your total load current. So what is ID that has been given it here in the problem? The branch currents or the line currents has been given it here, and the corresponding impedances of the lines has been given it here, the data, and the MVA value 50 MVA has been given apart from this pictorial representation. So ID is this one, 0.8 minus j.2, IE is 1.2 minus j.3. So when you add up these two things, you are going to get 2 minus j0.5 in rectangular form, and in polar form you are going to get 2.061 at an angle of minus 14.03 amperes. Unit is amperes, so you have to represent the unit properly. This is current, so it is amperes. Clear? Hope you understood this one. Total load current, you got it now. Any confusion here? Any doubts you are having it at this step? Total load current means current through load 1 plus current through load 2. What is current through load 1 is ID. Current through load 2 is your IE. So add those two things. So that is your total load current. Okay, fine. Now next, what is IL1? When generator 1 is supplying, so then it is the line L1, or it is nothing but your ID. Isn't it? Line current, sorry, load current, sorry, it is not line current, it is load current, IL1. IL1 is nothing but your load current. What is the current at load 1? Is nothing but your ID. L1 is your load 1. L1 is your load 1. So what is the current supplied to load 1 is nothing but your ID. ID has been given, so that you keep the value in polar form. That's all we have done. What is the current through load 2? IL2 is your IE. IE has been given, that you keep it in polar form. The given values only, I converted that one into polar form and I kept it ready for a purpose. Hope you understood. This is the current through load 1, current through load 2, and we added up these two to get total load current. Okay. Next, what is the current distribution factor for this branch D? What is the current distribution factor for MD? It is nothing but your ID by ID, isn't it? What is ID is total current. What is this ID, small d, is the current that is flowing through the branch D. Current that is flowing through the branch D. ID is your total current. Understood? So please understand the difference here. So what is ID? What is ID is this one. This is your ID in polar form. Understood? Divided by total load current. What is your total load current? This one. Isn't it? So this divided by this. So you will get, so I said current distribution factors are real values or imaginary values. Can anyone tell? Your current distribution factor, MD1, MP1, MP2 we have done, no? In the theory. Current distribution factors are real or imaginary values. Okay, Shanti Prasad has given, so good. It's the real values. So it will be real values. Always this current distribution factors M or real values we are going to get. You see what is ID? Is this one divided by this one. You see that one, you are going to get 0.4. That is 0.824 divided by 2.061. You are going to get 0.4 and minus 14.3 plus 14.3. So it will be 0. The angle will become automatically 0. This is your MD1, or just you can represent MD also, no problem. Okay. Now here, what is ME? Current distribution factor in branch E. Current distribution factor in branch E. So that is equal to same formula, you can write it. So here it is there. Is it visible? Okay. You see here, is it visible? Yes. ME1 is equal to IE by ID. I will remove these things. Okay, fine. ME1 is equal to what? To the corresponding current in the branch E, that is IE, divided by total load current. What is IE? 1.2369 at an angle of minus 14.3 divided by ID. So here also you will get 0.6. If you do this one, it will be 0.6 you are going to get. Understood? Otherwise, if you are getting one current distribution factor, it should be equal to 1. It is equal to total 1. So you can do 1 minus this current distribution. Two loads are there. So when the two loads are summed up, the current distribution factor will be 1. So if you are getting one current distribution factor, so other value is subtracted from 1. That is the other way of doing it. 1 minus 0.4 is equal to 0.6, or otherwise also you can substitute IE and ID, so you will get the same value as 0.6. Hope you understood these current distribution factors. So current distribution factor, actually suffix 1 I should not mention it here. Why means what suffix 1 indicates a generator 1 alone is supplying the load current, isn't it? Anyway, so it will not make much difference. So just you can represent it in this fashion. Hope you understood this one. Now let us take case by case. Now when generator G1 alone is supplying the load current, understood, when generator G1 alone is supplying, G2 is not supplying any load current, only G1 is supplying. In such case, what is the total load current ID is received from I1, the plant 1 only. So therefore, what about the current distribution? This is the resultant figure in figure 2. Generator 2, what is the current supplied by generator G2? It is 0. Why? This case, we are taking only generator G1 is supplying the current. This current, this directions remains the same. Only the thing is I2 is 0. Generator is 0. So therefore, what is the current supplied in this line is also 0. Hope you understood this one. Whatever current injected at this bus will be flowing through this line. Because generator G2 is not supplying any load, so therefore I2 is 0. So therefore IC is also 0. Now we have to, under this case, that means when generator 1 alone is supplying, we have to find out the corresponding current distribution factors. And I will be continuing the class. Afternoon 3 to 4, Ramya madam will be engaging. Afternoon 3 to 4, Ramya madam will be engaging the class. Now I am going to continue this class. So I am continuing this Ramya madam's class. So she will be engaging afternoon 3 to 4. This is for your information. Hope you understood this one. Now under this case, you find out the current distribution factors. That is MA1. First for branch 1, it is MA1. MA1 is equal to IA by ID. IA by ID. But what is IA is nothing but your IL, generator 1, isn't it? So I1 is equal to ID, isn't it? So IA is nothing but your I1. So IA is equal to ID. ID gets cancelled, it will be 1. Have you understood this point? I am trying to find out the current distribution factors for all the lines. First for line A, it is because generator 1 is supplying, so that's why it is MA1 is equal to the corresponding value IA by ID. What is IA? The current flowing through this branch A is nothing but the current supplied by generator G1. What is the current supplied by generator G1 alone is nothing but your total load current, isn't it? That is your total load current. So therefore, IA is equal to ID. ID gets cancelled, so it will be 1. Hope you understood. Because generator 1 alone is supplying the total load current. So in this case, I1 is equal to ID is equal to IA. You can write it here. I1 is the current supplied by generator 1 is equal to your total load current. In turn, the same current will be flowing through this branch A. In turn equal to IA, you can write it. In turn, this also equal to your IA. This is your IA, isn't it? Same current will be flowing through this branch. So IA is equal to ID. ID it gets cancelled. It will be 1 in this line. Okay, fine. Now what is MB1? This one in this branch. Similarly, MC1, ME1, MD1. So already we have calculated this MD1 and ME1, isn't it? MD1, ME1. Previous slide I have shown it. So first let us take in this branch. In this branch. So it is IB by ID. So how you got 0.6 here, IB by ID? The IB value has been given, ID is known to you, substitute that one, you will get 0.6. Or otherwise, in simple way, by inspection, you can write it. Because already you have done in the previous slide, you can see here, I will write it, MD1 and ME1. These two you have done it, already I have explained it in the previous slide. See here, MD1, ME1, you got the values, isn't it? So from this one, you got this one. What is MD1? It is 0.4. 0.4 times your IL, that is flowing. This is 1. This is 0.4. Now what will be the resultant current here? What will be the resultant current here that is flowing? This is 1 total current. So it gets split into this branch and this branch. This branch already it is taking 0.4, that is MD1. We have done it already. So 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6 is the current that is flowing through this branch. Directly you can write. No need to substitute. Don't waste your time by substituting IB, ID, cancelling, etc. Directly you will get, by inspection you will get 0.6. And between MD1, MB1 already we have done it. Only these two we have substituted, ID and IE values. We got the values. Okay. Now what is MC? 0, isn't it? There is no current, so therefore no current distribution factor. No current distribution factor, because IC is 0 indicates generator G2 is not supplying any load current. This is case 1. That's why current distribution factors in all the branches A, B, C, D, E with respect to suffix 1, because generator 1 alone is supplying. Hope you understood this point. How we got this current distribution factors when generator G1 alone is supplying the current. Now, when generator G2 alone is supplying this total load current, now what happens? Now what happens? What about the current flowing through this branch A? Can anyone tell? When generator G2 alone is supplying the total load current, what is the current that is flowing through the branch A? Can anyone tell? Okay, Shanti Prasad has given the answer. Others? G2 alone is supplying the load current. G1 is not supplying anything. So therefore IL is 0. So therefore the same IL is flowing through this branch A. So therefore it is 0, 0. Isn't it? So under these circumstances, let us see here. Now what is this one? I2. Okay, I will show you the figure. I will show you the figure. I2. What is I2? Means it is the current supplied by G2 is nothing but your IL is equal to your total load current, because generator 2 alone is supplying the total load current ID. So I2 is equal to IL is equal to ID. In turn is equal to IC, because the same IL is flowing through your C. So in turn is equal to IC. Clear? Now IA is 0. You see here, IA is 0. Now this already we have done it. MD1 and ME1 remains the same. But here you see this we have to calculate it. So let us find out the current distribution factors for this case. That is when generator G2. What is MA2? For branch current distribution factor branch A, MA, when generator 2 alone is supplying the power, it is 0. What is MB2, MC2? This is MC. That means what is the now current is there, MC2, isn't it? What is the current supplied through MC2 is nothing but your I2. That is nothing but IC2. IC2 is equal to IT. Now what is I2 is equal to ID? I2 is equal to ID because generator current is equal to your load current, total load current. So generator current I2 is equal to your total load current. So when you replace it here ID gets cancelled. So it will be 1 like this, MA1. Is it clear? Hope this point you understood MC2. Now MB2. What is MB2 is equal to? You know the by formula IB2 by ID, but instead of substituting, you are going to waste a time. Otherwise, what you are going to get here? This is 1. Already 0.6 we have calculated, isn't it? Generally, like in this case. So it is already 0.6. It is doing. So 1 minus 0.6 is 0.4. Now you see the difference between these two. It is in opposition. So therefore, it is minus 0.4 you represent it. Minus 0.4. Hope you understood this current distribution factor values evaluation. Clear? This is 1. Already we have evaluated. This remains the same. The load current remains the same. The current flowing through the load is constant, irrespective whether you are operating generator 1 or generator 2 or both the generators. It will not vary. So this will not vary. So therefore, you have found this one 1 and 1 gets divided in this branch and in this branch. In this branch already 0.6 is there flowing. So 1 minus 0.6 is 0.4 in this direction. So because it is in opposition with the other one, so you write minus 0.4. Clear? Then A, B, C, MD2, ME2 remains the same. MD2, ME2 remains same because it will not change. Load current is constant. It will not change. Why? Because this IDIE itself is the current supplied to the load. Fine. So we got current distribution factors when generator 1 alone is supplying the load current. Then current distribution factors when generator G2 alone is supplying the load current. Now next we have to find out the power factor angle and the load angles. We have to find out the power factor angle and the load angles. Let us see that one here. Now you see from figure 1, this is a figure 1. The voltage at this bus is taken as V reference. V reference. The voltage at this bus is taken as V reference given by 1 at an angle of 0 degrees. Now what we have to find after calculating the current distribution factor, next thing is you find out the voltages at all buses. Voltages at all buses. Voltage at this bus is taken as reference given. Now we have to find out voltage at bus 1 and bus 2. Voltage at bus 1 and bus 2 you have to find out. Only V1 and V2 because these two are connected to the generators. Only those buses you have to find out the voltages, not on at other buses. The buses which are connected to the generators or the generators which are connected to the buses, the respective voltages you have to determine. So generator 1 is connected to bus 1, so you have to find out what is the voltage at bus 1. Generator 2 is connected to bus 2, so find out what is the voltage at bus 2. So what is V1 is equal to? V1 voltage, this is a generator 1 side, this side. V1 is equal to this voltage plus the drop across this one. This side from generation, whatever, suppose 20 kV it is generating, you assume it, 20 kV. So 20 kV will not be available here. So some transmission loss may occur here. So therefore, voltage at bus 1 is equal to this voltage plus the drop across this line. What is this voltage? V reference plus what is the drop across this line is IA, corresponding current IA into ZA. IA into ZA. Hope you understood this one. V1 is equal to V reference plus IA ZA. Substitute the values. V reference is 1 at an angle of 0. IA is given in the problem. ZA is also given. This is your ZA. This is your ZA. So IA is 1.8 minus J.4. This data has been given in the problem. V reference also has been given. So when you simplify, so you are going to get V1 is equal to 1.06 at an angle of 4.78 degrees in polar form, and this is in rectangular form per unit. Fine. Now we find out at 2, what is the bus voltage at 2? Can anyone tell bus voltage, what is the voltage at bus 2? So bus 2 voltage is the voltage at this bus 2 plus the drop across this one, isn't it? The drop across this one. Suppose if I represent this bus as say C. This bus, okay, C already it is there. I will represent 3. This is bus 3. What is the voltage at V2? Is V3 plus the drop across C, isn't it? So I am going to write, what is the thing I am going to write here? I am going to write, so V2 is equal to, this is your bus 3 if you assume it. This is your bus 3 if you assume it. These people will disturb. Okay, V2 is equal to V3 plus the drop across, that is V3 plus the drop across C. What is the drop across C? IC into ZC. IC into ZC. Is it clear? This is your V2. But V3 is unknown. IC is given, ZC is given in the problem. But V3 is unknown. So how to find out this V3? So V3 is equal to, can anyone tell? V3 is equal to, can anyone tell how to get this V3? How to get this V3? How to get this V3? How to get V3? People are there or not? Saksham, how to get V3? Okay, Shanti Prasad has given. Saksham has given. You are almost there. Saksham and Shanti Prasad, you both have given the same answer. No, Saksham, your answer is wrong. Shanti Prasad, your answer is almost there, but there is slight mistake. No, Saksham, still it is wrong. Shanti Prasad, check. No. That is total thing we are giving it. I am asking only V3 right now. What is V3? Voltage at bus 3. Voltage at bus 3. It is your just a simple network terminology. Abhishek, Sumant, what is V3? See, V3 is the voltage at this node is 1 at an angle of 0, we know it. So this voltage is transferring through this line, isn't it? It is passing through this line. This is from figure 1. So this is the voltage we know. So whatever voltage is there, that will be driving the current in this line. So that means what? V reference, whatever voltage is there. So minus this one is the available voltage at this node 3 or bus 3. Yeah. Now Saksham has given, I don't know, after my explanation he has given it or before that one. Anyway, V reference is known and the current through this branch is known, isn't it? Sorry, voltage across this one is known, drop. So this minus this branch drop is the voltage across 3. It is not the addition. When you are moving from this one, this is a generation side, it is pushing, it is plus. Here also when it is pushing, it is plus. But here this is your source, V reference, it is pushing because here we don't know the voltage here between these two buses. So this is a known voltage. So it is pushing. So therefore this minus this will be your available voltage here. So V3 is equal to your V reference VR minus IB ZB. Okay, that I will be showing it. I will clear these things now. So this is what your V3. So that is nothing but overall equation equals to V reference minus the drop across this one IBZB plus the drop across this one is your V2. Hope you understood this equation now. This is the final equation which is given. So there is no doubt here, I think. You don't have any confusion here. All these things are basics, nothing to do with your power systems. A simple nodes bus has been given, you have to find out the voltages at different nodes. That's all. Your network analogy, the network concepts, you have to apply it here. Hope you understood this one. So substitute this one, V reference 1 at an angle 0, IBZB has been given, IBZB, ICZC has been given, substitute the values and calculate it. Substitute the values and calculate it. You will get V2. Okay, now I only give you the values. So the value will be V2 is equal to 0.928 minus J005 or 0.93 at an angle of minus 3.1 degrees per unit. Clear? So this is how we have to calculate it. So we got V1 and V2. So first thing is current distribution factors for all the branches. You get it when generator 1 is operating alone, when generator 2 alone is operating. Second one, you find out the voltages at the buses where the generators are connected. So that you got this one. So next you have to find out the current phase angles. You have to find out the current phase angles, that is sigma 1 and sigma 2. Sigma 1 and sigma 2 are the current phase angles of your I1 and I2, corresponding I2. That means your sigma 1 is the angle of your I1 when generator 1 is supplying. So I1 is nothing but current flowing through your IA. I1 is nothing but your this current, isn't it? IA. So that is equal to IA, angle of I1 or IA. Hope you understood this one. Sigma 1 is the angle corresponding to current I1. That means current supplied by generator 1. Sigma 2 is the angle of the current which is supplied by generator 2. Understood? So sigma 1 is the angle of I1 is nothing but the current flowing through branch IA. So how to get the angle? Obviously tan inverse of imaginary value by real value of IA. IA has been given it there. IA has been given in the problem in a rectangular form, isn't it? So from that IA, so you take tan inverse of imaginary value by real value. So we'll get minus 18.43 degrees, that is sigma 1. Any confusion here? Sigma 1, sigma 2 are the current phase angles. Which currents you have to take? Current supplied by the generator 1 and generator 2. Understood? So that is I1 and I2. So here I1 is nothing but IA and here I2 is nothing but your IC. Now what is sigma 2? Is your angle of I2. I2 is nothing but your IC. What is IC? Which has been given in the problem in rectangular form. So how to find out the angle? Tan inverse of imaginary value divided by real value. That is equal to minus 7.13 degrees. Any doubts? These are the current phase angles sigma 1, sigma 2. These are required to substitute these values in B11, B12, B22. Just now we have derived it in today's class. Okay? Current distribution factors, voltages, then angles, current phase angles, step 3. Understood? So from this one, what is cos of sigma 1 minus sigma 2? So sigma 1 is minus 18.43 and 7.89. So if you substitute those values and you take cos of those things, so it will be 0.98. It will be 0.98. So remember these values we had because we have to substitute these values. Next, again I am repeating it here. The values given in the problem, the IA values and Z impedance values I have given it. Then power factor angles. What is power factor angles? It is your phi I. You remember, you please recall, this is the equation. This is the equation we have started, isn't it? The load current at ith bus or ith load is given by delta I minus phi I, isn't it? So delta I is the voltage angle, voltage phase angle. Delta I's are voltage phase angles. What is voltage phase angles? Now you see, this is voltage phase angle. What is the voltage phase angle of V1? 4.78. What is the voltage phase angle of V2? Minus 3.10. That is your deltas. So minus the phase angle of your loads. Phase angles of your loads. So that one you have to subtract it. Now here you see phi 1 is equal to delta I. That means delta 1 minus phi 1. Delta 1 minus phi 1. So what is delta 1? Corresponding to V1. Corresponding to V1. 4.78. Understood? Okay. So next, corresponding to this one. What is the load angle? That is current supplied by load. Is nothing but your sigma. This phi I is nothing but your sigma values. So here you see this one, sigma 1. This is sigma 2. So those values we have to substitute. Understood? So 4.78 is the voltage phase angle for bus 1 plus sigma 1. So sigma 1 is 18.43, but minus of minus, so becomes plus here. It is not direct plus. Understood? Here it is minus, isn't it? Minus of the load angle. So what is the first load angle? What is the first load angle? It is minus 8.43. So minus of minus becomes plus here. That is equal to 23.21 degrees. So cos of phi 1 is equal to 0.92. Cos of this angle is 0.92. Similarly, what is phi 2 is equal to? The voltage phase angle of V2. Voltage phase angle of V2. What is voltage phase angle of V2? Minus 3.12. V2 phase angle is minus 3.12. Minus 3.10. So whatever I have written it. That is voltage phase angle minus the load angle. What is the minus load angle? Sigma 2 minus 7.3. So minus of minus becomes plus here. Minus of minus becomes plus 7.13. Is it clear? Hope you understood this problem, because there is one more problem is there in the assignment. You have to solve on the similar lines that problem. So please understand, wherever you get the doubt, so please ask me immediately. Hope you understood phi 2, 4.03 degrees. Cos of this angle is 0.998. Clear? Now after getting power factor angle, so first current distribution factor, voltage at the buses, then current angles, current phase angles, then power factor angles. Current phase angles are nothing but your load angles. Current phase angles are nothing but your load angles. Please remember. And then power factor angle. So how to do power factor angle? So you have to use this relation. So voltage angle minus the load angle. Like that you have to do it. Similarly for generator 2. So you will get this one. Then you substitute. Let us, after calculating all these values, use the formula for B11. This is a formula, loss coefficients, we have derived it. You should remember this one. Keep it in memory, CTM. So that you have to keep it in memory. B11 is equal to, this is the formula, we have derived it. Substitute the values. Now what is MP1? What is MP1 square is equal to? V1 square, it's okay. Magnitude of V1, we have calculated. Cos phi 1 value is there, isn't it? So that you can substitute. RP, we'll see that one. So how to represent this MP1 square into RP? So this can be represented as like this. You see here. This summation MP1 square RP is equal to, what is MP? P is your branch, isn't it? So how many branches are there? That is, lines are there. 5 lines are there. What are those? A, B, C, D, E. For E, this is a summation. So for A transmission line, it is MA1 square into RA. MA1 square RA, because it is a summation, plus for B branch, it is MB1 square into RB, B branch, RB. Because here for P branch, we have taken RP. For B branch, it is RB. Plus, because it is summation. Plus for C branch, it is MC1 square RC. For D branch, MD1 square into RD. Plus E branch, ME1 square into RA. Hope you have followed this one. Substitute the values of MA1, MB1, current distribution factors, we have found out already, isn't it? And RA, RB, RC, RD, RE, you have to get it from the impedances which are given in the problem. What is RA? That is ZA, resistance of line A. Impedance of line A is this one. So what is RA is 0.02. What is RA is your, 0.02. These values you have to consider. Hope you are following it. Similarly, what is RB? 0.08. What is RC? 0.02. What is RD? 0.03. What is RE? 0.03. These are the resistances values which has been given in the problem. You have to substitute RA, RB. MA1, MB1 you have calculated already. You have calculated. So substitute those values here and these values here. So this is a substitution, I am showing it here. You see here, V1 square is, what is the magnitude of V1? 1.06 square. Cos phi is 0.92 whole square. So numerator term is MP1 square RP. What is MP1 square RP? Is this one, isn't it? So therefore, MA1, what is MA1? You can see, go back and see what is MA1. It is 1. Understood? Into RA. RA is 0.02 plus MB1 is 0.6. MB1 we have estimated already. So if you look, go back and check, so it will be 0.6. Already we have evaluated. Into RB. What is RB? 0.08. Plus MC. What is MC? What is MC? Can anyone tell what is MC1? Can anyone tell what is MC1? It is 0, because suffix 1 indicates generator 1 alone is supplying the load current. So so this MC1 we have seen it there. So this is your 0. So this is 0. This value is 0. Then MD1 square RD, it is there. So what is MD1? It is 0.4 square into RD. RD is 0.03, here you see. Plus ME1 is 0.6 square into RE is 0.03. Substitute all these values from the given data and the calculated values. So you use your calculator, so you will get the value for PI. So this is the value of your B11, 0.0677 per unit. So the question has been asked, determine the loss coefficients in per unit as well as in megawatt inverse. So we got this loss coefficient B11 in per unit, but we want this value in megawatt inverse. So what we should do, this per unit value must be divided by the base MVA. What is the base MVA value that has been given? 50 MVA. So if you divide this 0.0667 by 50, so you are going to get 0.1354 into 10 power minus 2 megawatt inverse. That's all. So this is your B11. Hope you understood this substitution. Per unit you will get, and divide by the base value of MVA given in the problem, you will get it in megawatt inverse. So B11 is over. Now other coefficient B12, this is the formula we have derived. You have to keep it in memory, these formulas, once you are derived. Cos sigma 1 minus sigma 2, we have done it in the previous slide. The value is available. V1 is available, magnitude, V2 is available, cos phi 1 is this one, cos phi 2 is 0.998. Then how to write this MP1, MP2, RP? So how to represent this MP1, MP2, RP? I am representing it here. MP1, P is for one branch P. Like that, we are having so many branches in our system, given system. So we have to sum up. So for branch A, it is MA1, MA2 into RA. MA1, this is MA2, RE, plus for branch B, it is MB1, MB2, RB. For branch C, MC1, MC2, RC. For branch D, MD1, MD2, RD. For branch E, ME1, MB2, RE. Like this, how we have expanded, same way for all the lines we have expanded. Understood? So that it is easy for you to make substitution. Now you know MA1, MA2 values, RA, RB values I told, from here you should get it. Substitute those values here and substitute these values, you will get B12. You see here, this is the value substitution, you have to make it. Now when you look into this one, what is MA1? What is the value of MA1? Sorry, MA2. MA2, what is MA2 value? What is MA2 value? MA2 is 0. Shanti Prasad has given the answer. MA2 is 0. So therefore, we can say here this MA2 is 0. So this becomes 0. This term becomes 0. Still we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. But here only 3 terms are there. What is this one? Which term is 0 here once again? Out of these 5 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which term is 0? Which term is 0? Okay, I'm getting the answers. MC1. Okay, fine. So you see here, this is also 0. When you look into this one, MC1 is also 0. So this term is also 0. Left out will be this one, this one, this one. Substitute MB1, MB2 and RB value 0.08. Similarly, MD1 0.4, RD 0.03. Then ME this 0.03. This term is 0. Only 3 terms are there. Then cos sigma minus 1, that those values substituted. Magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2, cos phi 1, cos phi 2, substituted. So you will get the values once after calculating this one. So you are going to get the values as 0.00389 per unit. 0.00389 per unit. Hope you understood this one. I am taking so much of time to make you people understand. I don't know how many of you people are listening. So immediately after the class, please practice this one so that it will become easy. This type of network may be different. So any network, this is the procedure you have to follow. First thing is identify, okay, let me complete this one. Then in megawatt inverse, divide this value by 50 MVA. So you are going to get minus 0.0078 into 10 power minus 2 megawatt inverse. Because it is asked last coefficient in per unit as well as megawatt. Okay, B11 we got, B12 we got. What is left out is B22. Is your B22. So B22 is equal to this formula. You know V2 magnitude, you know cos pi 2. How to write MP2 square into RP? Same way, MP2 is there. So for each branch, MA2RA, MB2, MC2, MD2, ME2. And you know this MA2, MB2, MC2, MD2, ME2 values. And RA, RB, RC, RD, RE are from the given impedance values. So substitute those values. V2 is 0.93, cos pi 2 is 0.998 whole square, and all these values if you substitute it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. But here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are there. Which term is 0? Which term is 0? MA2, yes. MA2 is 0. So that means what? This is 0. This is 0. Understood? So the remaining values, 4 values, 1, 2, 3, 4 values is substituted. So you will get B22. Understood? So the value will be 0.056 per unit or 0.112 into 10 power minus 2 megawatt inverse. Hope you have followed. So only thing is you have to practice this problem here. Okay. I think some doubt has been raised. Both generators are supplied, and if only one is working, then their M distribution factor value will be 0. I didn't get the your question. So only thing is you can unmute and you can Saksham. Both the generators are supplied, and if only one is working, then their M distribution. If one is working, the other generator current distribution factor in a particular branch is 0, not which is supplying. That's what I said it. If one generator is operating, understood, the other generator current distribution factor in the respective line, please understand, in the respective line is 0. Only one is working, then their value will be 0. Yeah, M distribution factor for the respective line, not for all the lines. Understood? There are different lines are there. Totally in the given example, 5 lines are there. So if generator 1 is operating, then in the line C, it is 0. Current flowing through that one is 0. So therefore, current distribution factor of that line C is 0. If generator 2 alone is acting, then the current supplied by generator 1 is 0. So therefore, current that is flowing through the line A is 0. So therefore, current distribution factor of the line A is 0. This is the answer. Hope you understood this one. So any other doubts? Please, the same problem, you substitute the values And you can see see I have not done any calculation here. Directly I have written the values because time management is very important in the tests and the examination. Please practice it because you may take almost to calculate this one, you may take some time. So you see how much time is required. So that is practice is very much important in time management. So practice it. So you will come to know even if you commit some mistake, you will be in a position to rectify it. So practice this one. And one more problem, similar type of problem is there in the assignment 2. Please solve that one. So I will be asking the answers for that problem, which has been given in the, it is the unsolved problem in the DP Kothari textbook. Now you have to solve this one on the same lines which I have explained it here. Identify generators, identify loads, identify number of lines, and find out the current distribution factors when plant 1 alone is operating. Find out the current distribution factor when plant 2 alone is acting or supplying the load current. Then you find out the voltages at the buses where the generators are connected. Then you find out the current phase angles, that is sigma 1, sigma 2. That is current phase angles are nothing but your load phase angles. Then you find out the power factor angle, phi I. Then after this one, write down the formulas for B11, B22, B12, substitute the values. That's all. This is the procedure. Please keep it in these steps in your memory. Apply this procedure to any type of problem. The same procedure holds good. Clear? So any doubts till this point? Afternoon 3 to 4, Ramya madam will be engaging. Okay. Thank you one and all. Take care. Bye. Okay. Of model 3, no? Okay. So let me finish this model first, then I will upload it completely. There's still one or two numerical problems. I will be solving it on this one. I will be discussing it. So then I will upload. Within this week, I will upload for this module. The same PPT, I will be uploading it. Okay. Okay, thank you.